Have you ever wanted to discover what's missing in your life? Metaphysics is available to all and is part of your life even if you don't know it. Welcome to Metaphysics, a view through the veil with Barb Crowley. Together we'll explore the mysteries behind metaphysics and how to use it to have a deeper understanding and advantage in life. And now here's your host, Barb Crowley.
Hi, this is Barb Crowley, and welcome to Metaphysics, a view through the veil. Alec Uitti is our guest today, and he's a trained artist and designer. He had a technology career for 25 years. Then he turned spiritual teacher and iridologist in 2016. He left the corporate world last year to dedicate his life to raising people through conscious spirituality and through Enlightened Iridology, which is a system that you use. So, Alec, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm so glad to have you here. This is a fascinating subject. And I want to say that you gave me a sampling yesterday. And I got to tell everybody, it's kind of weird to look at your own eyeball that close. And it was fabulous. It was fabulous. But since you guys couldn't all be there, I'm going to have him go through and tell us about iridology. But I want to start first with the history of it.
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
Iridology or iridology, depending on how you want to pronounce it, has been around for centuries. An interesting story is that the early versions of this was started by a man who was a biologist, a botanist and a biologist, and he was studying animals. And he had some animals on his property, and he was photographing them in various ways. And he had an owl, and he would photograph the owl's eyes every now and again, just out of interest and understanding of the animal. And one day the owl broke its wing. And the very next day, he was photographing the eye, and a speck showed up in the eye. And so he just sort of went down the rabbit hole and said, this is interesting. There's physical things happening to this animal, and it's showing up in the eye. So it turns out that the eye, the iris, as well as the sclera, which is the white part, is a reflex, just like reflexology. So all of the nerves in the body go through the optic nerve to the brain and leave an imprint.
Wow.
So over the centuries, it's been related to sort of the medical profession, right? So
You know, when I was growing up, a lot of doctors would look into your eyes, and this would be a major thing, and they never do it anymore. It's weird.
Yeah, it's actually happening more and more in the medical profession, especially in Europe right now, which is interesting. So that's been the history, that it is something you can see all the tissues, all the organs, the bone structures, all sorts of things in there as reflex signals, we call them. And so a traditional iridologist would say, I see something here in the kidney area, and maybe you should go to the doctor and get that taken, take a look at that.
Right, right.
So that's the tradition. And then the Enlightened Iridology, my version of it, which was started by a guy named Bob Stevens, and he translated all of these body signals, and we do something as well called body translation, body language translation. All of these tissues, organs, and everything is the body speaking to us in consciousness and saying, pay attention to us as a conscious and a lot of memory and a lot of emotions that is stored. And you can see traumas and so forth. So that is our version. We've taken it from the medical to conscious and spirituality.
And so your teacher actually started to look at the physical and realized that there was subconscious with that, or there was not spiritual, but subconscious and emotional attachments to that.
Exactly.
And that's where he went with, looking at the wounds kind of the soul almost over
Hmm.
the body.
Exactly.
We're not interested in the body. Let's look at this. Why did you fall? Why did you break your hand? Why did you
Hmm.
that kind of thing. What is the difference between yours and regular iridology? Is that the difference that he went
That's
to
the
the
difference.
subconscious and the rest were going to the physical?
Yep. So we'll see the kidney, for instance, and say, instead of let's look at the kidney signal here as the kidney, for instance, is about forgiveness and partnership, right? So I will
Hmm.
ask, my person about how are they with forgiveness? And it's also the meridians of the body. So if it's on the left side, that's the feminine side and mom's DNA. And so you can say, how is mom with forgiveness early on? Because that's where
Right.
a lot of this stuff gets sort of imprinted.
This is where you learned it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Huh. Now, how did you get into it?
It was actually through my sister who studied under Bob Stevens directly
Hmm.
for years, and she taught me the system with a lot of other people. But she has an awesome retreat center in Texas, and she does trainings there. It takes quite a few hours. It's almost like yoga teacher training, right? So it
Right.
takes like 100 hours or something, 200 hours, for instance, to even become a level one iridologist.
Well, let's give her a shout out. What's the name of her
Of
center?
course, yes. Her name is Faith Bost, and her website is myenlightenedlife.com.
Hmm. Oh, that's a great website.
Mhm.
She got that early on, right?
Yes, indeed.
Because getting that as a .com, that's a major achievement.
Mhm.
That's pretty good. Um, so as you said, it takes hours to do it in depth. We did a sampling of if you and I hadn't wandered, and gone on tangents, probably a half hour, you think, sampling?
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
usually
yeah.
takes 2 hours, give or take.
To do the in-depth one.
For a standard session, correct.
Right. And with mine, the first and almost immediately you came up with back. You have a back problem, which I have
Oh.
back pain. I don't like to call it a problem because I
Hmm.
think it's a going away, always. Yeah.
Well, to
Um,
us, it's a signal.
yeah. And from there, you went to support. And I grew up in a family of 9 kids. And a family of 9 kids, you never have much. You're pretty much on your own a lot of the time. So there's not a
Absolutely.
lot of support there. So that was pretty interesting. But how did you see the back?
So there'll be a signal, and those signals are different. Um, there can be openings in the fibers. If you look closely at an eye, there'll be fibers around the pupil.
Hmm.
Uh, there can be an opening in that fiber, and that just means that there's energy there, and that's energy been, potentially for decades, right? And it's just the body trying to speak to us through the eye.
Hmm.
And so when you see those signals, you start the questioning. And
Right.
sometimes it's not 100% accurate, but it's
Pretty
a pretty
accurate.
accurate system. Pretty,
Yeah,
pretty accurate. Hmm.
it's pretty accurate. Now, you started with my left eye. Did that matter?
We typically start with the left eye because that's, again, the feminine side and mom's DNA. So even men, their connection to mom and our connection to that mom's side is a little bit more direct because our moms physically gave birth to us, right?
Hmm.
Um, so that particular side of the body, the feminine side, which is the left, which is right brain, um, is what we usually start with because it's usually more poignant.
Hmm.
Yes, and sometimes there's not a whole lot going on there. So we go to the right eye, which is dad's DNA and dad's
Right.
side and the right side of the body as well.
Hmm. Now, can you see emotion in both eyes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, both eyes are unique usually. Um, sometimes you can see the same types of things in both if it's a larger signal that's sort of been speaking to you for a long time, you know.
Hmm.
But usually they're pretty unique in their experiences
Right. Yeah, because now we saw the back for me and lack of support on the mother side, on the left side, and not on the right.
on the right. Yeah.
Was there any chance because I wasn't expecting support there? I'm coming from 1950s, 60s childhood. So,
Mhm.
it was the dad was not the emotional support really in the family normally.
Right. So, yes, and I mean, he obviously supported you in a financial way, and you were
Hmm.
fed growing up, right?
Right,
You survived, but
right.
emotional support, right?
Hmm.
But it's tends to be more pointed on the mom side, and especially if, in my experience, if dad didn't support and then mom didn't sort of save you by offering more support, that enhances that, right?
Right. Could there have not, because it was so normal then, could there have not been a lot of support from the father's side, but not a trauma of it? So it wouldn't show
The
up?
possibility. But also we're talking usually about from 0 to 8 years old, give or take,
Hmm.
is we're as children, we're in the subconscious realm, right? We're in theta wave, we're absorbing. So we're not really making logical decisions about
Yeah.
that, right? So we're not saying, oh, I'm not expecting it from dad because that's quote unquote normal. We don't really know that yet.
Hmm.
So I mean, you might be able to get some inferences early on, 4 or 5 years old, but usually it's a child coming into the world, a soul coming into the world,
Yeah.
and there's an automatic understanding that the beings that brought you into the world are going to support you.
Hmm.
Um, and so when you don't get it, there's an emotion usually associated with that,
Yeah.
even if we don't understand it.
Uh,
So a lot of times I'll talk to people about those emotions early on and they can't access them just
mhm.
because they weren't
They were
supported.
so
Right.
young. Yeah.
Yeah, they were so young.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay, enough about me. Have um have you ever looked in somebody's eyes and see traumas that they couldn't have? They couldn't you're seeing the reality of the trauma, but the person sitting in front of you isn't ready to deal with that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Um, Not really.
Hmm.
Uh, that has happened. I've heard of that in the system as well, but like they blocked out a memory,
Right.
of kind of trauma, abuse or something like that for sure. I have not directly experienced that. I have experienced a few things that were interesting because, for instance, you can see some signals, for instance, where people have had to fib or lie in order to be okay in their family.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm sure we've all seen this somewhere. You know, just to be safe, right, in their family and
You
say
mean
that they're
taking
fine.
on a persona? You mean that
Taking on a
way? Yeah.
persona or just saying, of course I'm doing this or of course I'm doing that to their
Right.
parents so that they don't get hurt somehow.
Right. Right.
Um, and so this young woman I read a few years ago, I saw it right away. And so my question was, have you ever had to, you know, modify the truth in order to be okay?
You are gentle.
Right.
Yeah.
And she said, I've never told anybody this, but yes,
Mhm.
I used to lie all the time to be okay in my family. And I've just
Wow.
now in the last, whatever year been engaging with that. So it's pretty accurate again.
Right. Now, where did you see that in her eyes? In her eye? I mean, which eye, or was it both?
I think it was in the left eye, if I remember. And I'd probably have to show you the signal, but it's when you and I did our reading, I could see some
Hmm.
lines around it, like the record player.
Hmm.
That is negative self-talk usually. That's
Yeah.
pretty accurate almost always. But this would be little dots that are around that area instead of those lines. And you
Hmm.
could say, that dot is it's protective in some ways. I'm going to protect myself by changing something about my reality.
And you can see that specific that it's a lie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very specific, right?
Right.
It's one of those things that you don't think of all the time, but when you notice it, um, I think what's happening is that the body is telling us something, right? So
Hmm.
it's in this area, it's actually all over. So it's saying this is different from what I truly am. And so that signal shows up as some energies, right? It's always energies because we're all
Hmm.
energy.
Right.
And that energy becomes the signal.
Yeah. Since we all, well, this might not be true. In my mind, it's true. Since we all have to lie to be in the world. You know?
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, as we go out and go to work, we become inefficient, never curse, all these kind of things,
Little white
you know.
lies, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
How do you know the difference between those kind of lies and a real fundamental lie?
Oh, that's a good question. When you say it that way, I I could be looking at everybody's eyes and seeing,
That's
some of
what
those
I'm thinking. Yeah.
standard things, right?
Yeah, because we all do change ourselves when we go into, let's say, the workplace or,
Yeah,
place
we put
where
on
we have to
airs.
be polite and on our best behavior.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Maybe not mention something about somebody that is obvious, but to be polite, like you said,
Yeah.
and okay. um, yeah, there's probably a difference in those types of things, but if they're expected, do they show up as big signals in the eyes? That's a good question. I've never had anybody ask that. So
Oh, okay.
the ones that I see probably are so dramatic in terms of this is me and I'm bearing false witness to my world,
Right. So,
especially my
yeah.
parents.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when we're being polite, we're masking. When
Hmm.
maybe she's saying to the parent she's lying. Maybe there's a difference there, where we don't consider it really alive when we're being polite.
Yeah. Because
Maybe,
in her case, there was a lot of emotion around it.
Oh,
She actually
yeah.
felt very guilty
Hmm.
and she kind of had to do this. And I think that's might be the difference, is that
That would
emotion.
make it a trauma or make it show up in the
I
eye
think
as a
so.
trauma. Yeah. Yeah. And where would that be? Or it's just dots around the eye?
All around the kind of the exterior portion of the eye.
Now, in um, you talking to her about this,
Hmm.
does pressure get released or is there a change within her?
Yeah. In her case, bringing it out, what was important was her to understand that it wasn't uh, quote unquote bad, right? So
Hmm.
we made it okay, which we do with all of our emotions and all of our actions. We make it okay, and then we remember what's underneath that, which is her true love and her true respect for her parents. Even
Hmm.
though she had to be safe, she had to, in her mind, had to be different for her parents. Um, so we brought that up, and there was a lot of emotion around that.
I'll
And
bet, yeah. If you could see it in the eye,
mhm,
there had you would only see it if there is emotion around it.
that is usually the case
Hmm.
because what we're seeing is energies, and in our subconscious body slash mind, change and any or remembering is what we really like to say happens through deep feeling.
Right.
It's very it's very difficult to see any change, any remembering, any restoration just from a logical thought.
Hmm.
So this person having an emotion around it is really what made the signal show up. And
Right.
that's what almost everything I see is around an emotion, which is also traumas and memories that are kind of stuck in our body.
Hmm.
That's energy. And I
Right.
believe our emotions have a lot of energy, a lot more than
Unless,
just regular thoughts.
so a sociopath that would not show up because there's
Possibly, yeah,
no energy with it. There's no real emotion with it.
you're right.
I'm
That's very
assuming,
possible.
yeah. Yeah, I'm assuming. Um, so did her eyes change then, or did you see her again and see a difference?
I have not seen her yet again. She is here, so I imagine I will.
Right,
It would be very interesting and a good thing to see how that's changed and how she's evolved. I mean,
right.
that's my goal is, I mean, we do see like physical healings, people can restore their livers. This one woman was needing a liver transplant, and she went through this as well as some other modalities that we do, and she didn't have to get her liver transplant. Her
Wow.
liver restored
That's
itself.
huge. That's
That's
huge.
huge. That's
Yeah,
huge. But that's not what we go for. We go
yeah.
for the restoration of the emotion, the restoration of their glorious true self.
Mm-hmm.
Then the healing happens through them. So we don't call
Right.
ourselves, so we just call ourselves the sort of a doorway, I guess, for them to heal themselves. But it's still huge and it's awesome.
I was going to say without, well, first of all, what was it in her liver and what does liver mean?
The liver is our authority organ. So
Hmm.
everything that we take into our bodies has to go through the liver first before it touches anything else. So sh if I remember correctly, this was a few years ago, she had given up her authority through her parents, and she showed up as very sort of mousy and weak.
Hmm.
And we raised her authority again as a woman and as a powerful being in this universe, which we all are.
Yeah.
It's fairly simple, but through different decrees and having her, again, raise her energy, raise her self power, right? And
Hmm.
authority in the world. That's all it took.
Hmm.
And it was A, being conscious of it, which is consciousness in a nutshell. Oh, I see what I did, and it's by agreement, and we're going to agree to something different, which is our true powerful nature.
Right.
When she agreed again to that powerful energy that she is, she restored that part of her, and she became a different person in her world. That's what we love to see.
Hmm. Now, how did you help her um, take that back, take that power back?
Well, a few things. There's another modality that we can talk about, and that's called body electronics,
Hmm.
which is a sustained acupressure, and you need a group of people, and we do a week-long retreat for that. Um, but also eye readings and coaching. And in an eye reading, as you've experienced,
Hmm.
coachings and body electronics, what you're doing is you're bringing this up and you're saying what's really true. And then you have them say it out loud in their own voice. I am a powerful being. I am here to be energy in my world, to have my voice heard. I mean, that's one of the biggest signals that we see is, especially in women, is expression, which
Hmm.
is vocal cords and trachea, mouth, expression that has been, detuned and not heard in their world because of the way we've built
World.
this world for
Yeah.
women, right? We talked about
Yeah.
that. Um, and when we raise that expression, I am here to be heard. I just as much as any other being on this planet. And just it depends on that person how that decree kind of comes out in terms of it's usually anything that they say that is in the negative, we turn it into a positive,
Mhm.
right? So, yeah, I never really speak up in meetings or whatever it is. And now you
Right.
say, I powerfully speak up in meetings and I am heard.
Mhm.
And then you're reforming because we're all creating our universes moment to
Right.
moment. So we're reforming that in our subconscious, in our feeling world, in our heart. Um, and before they can even go out and start to say those negative things, it's already done.
Mhm.
And so they change in that moment. And that's pretty cool.
What happens if they can't do it?
That happens. We've had some very
Yeah.
resistant people
But
and
not
it,
being resistant, just intimidated by the world. Let's say in that case, speak out and just afraid to,
yeah.
or so trained not to.
Hmm.
What happens if they can't do it?
We've had some people through the years and it's been what's what's interesting, there's a couple things that could happen. Sometimes they kind of get it, but then they go away and then they go back into the world and sort of just fall back
Back to
into
their
just
pattern.
back
Yeah.
into their patterns, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we get I think both men and women that have come through and they can keep bouncing back and forth.
Hmm.
So it just takes, and they slowly get better,
Right.
like
Right.
over 3 4
Eventually.
years.
Yeah.
And we usually have a breakthrough if they're dedicated, if
Hmm.
they keep showing up, we'll have a breakthrough.
Right.
But like you said, it can be difficult if it's really embedded, for sure.
Well, think about it. If you've got a woman sitting in front of you who's 50 years old,
Mhm.
she's been doing this for 50 years.
Yeah.
That's a
Oh,
long time. And it has to be frightening to
mhm.
say in a meeting what you're thinking and, to say, I can speak up and I can be heard. That's a scary thing to do when you've not done it in 50 years.
Oh yeah.
Even
No,
when you want to do it, it's
precisely.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um,
It's kind of out of our hands, but I have seen it happen
mhm,
in both ways. And it does take someone who's really
fighting for it.
fighting for it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
one. And willing to take the chances
Hmm.
and change. And
Right.
change alone is difficult for a lot of people,
Right.
right?
And
So
I don't want to divert to the play part that we talked about, and I want to get into that in a little bit. First, I want to ask, where did you see the esophagus and the mouth and the reality of expression? Where did you see that in the eye?
that is it's in both eyes and they're both sort of mirrored on either side
Mhm.
and they're sort of left or right quadrants. And if you look at an eye chart, you can see um, it's a circle,
All
right?
right.
And
If we use it like a clock,
like a clock.
can we,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's
can
like
we, yeah.
2 or 3 o'clock on the left eye and then like 8 on the other, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
and when you look at the chart, a good chart will have the representation of the organ.
Hmm.
Uh, so in the back, here's the spine and it sort of follows in diagonal. And you can say upper or lower spine, which
Hmm.
makes different signals.
Right.
Uh, Shoulders in particular are about burdens usually, right? So if someone has some shoulder signals and shoulder pain,
Hmm.
um, we ask about burdens. Are you holding onto burdens for some figure in your life or,
Right.
sometimes parents, right? Um, and we get to raise um, our our greater selves, our higher selves that can have burdens. Uh, give your burdens to your higher self, and you relax.
Right. Right.
And also, one of the big things, this woman a few years ago, she was taking care of her parents, and one of the big decrees was allow my parents to give their own challenges to their great self.
Hmm.
Because when we're taking care of people, a lot of times we're not allowing them to go direct to their own greater self, and
Yeah.
we're, we're taking over and being the authority in their life. And that was
Hmm.
kind of an interesting one for her. So that was a big
Right.
light going off.
Yeah. Now, if you carried a burden in the past, would you see that as a burden or a trauma in the eye? Or it depends on how the person perceived it
It
themselves.
depends. Yeah, that's a big thing is the perception of it,
Hmm.
right? Because I mean, traumas and burdens are a little different usually.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, traumas can show up in, sexual abuse, and we can see that sometimes. But a burden is usually something that, uh, sometimes it's a big thing. Like if they have a sick parent early on,
Hmm.
and they have to be, they have to
The
be
caregiver to the
up,
parent.
the
Yeah.
caregiver, and make dinners for the whole family at 10 years old or whatever,
Hmm.
And of course, that becomes a pattern in their life. And you can
Right.
see it a lot of times and you can say, okay, that's a thing growing up. How did that continue on in your life, right? And sometimes it's, yeah, I take care of, my friends, I take care of my partners and so on.
Hmm.
You get to say, is it important for you to take care of yourself?
So
Me
you
first.
you bring it into present time, pretty
Hmm.
much. You don't. There's no way to really go back and say, okay, you were burdened young, but you're okay now. I mean, would that show up?
You mean if they've already gone through that?
If they had to take care of the family and then at 20 or 20, they went away to college and didn't have to take care of anybody.
Mhm.
Would that show up as a burden young or would it show up more of a trauma?
It depends. And it is up to them to engage with it, right?
Hmm.
So if they haven't engaged with it and it's still acting, a lot of times we'll see that, in the shoulders and go, are you still taking on the emotional burdens from your friends, maybe,
Right.
right? Or, maybe it's much more subtle than
Hmm.
having to take care of the family early on, but it can be emotional burdens, right? So
Right.
you're going to your friends and your partners and you're saying, I'm going to take on the emotional burden of the difficult emotions, and I'll let you, be okay.
Hmm.
It's like, is that important now, right?
Right. So
And
you bring it into or you find it in the present time so that you
most
can deal
most of
with
the
it, kind of get rid of it.
time, get rid of it is not quite the right word, but you can transform it back to
Release it.
release,
Yeah.
right? Uh, remember what you came here for, right? Because a lot of these things are sort of getting in the way of what our mission is on this
Hmm.
planet, right?
Right.
We're sort of playing in all of these things that we learned early on, and they become patterns. Anger and forgiveness is a big one, huge. That was my biggest movement
Yeah.
personally. And when I sort of let go of that with my father, boom, I had so much more energy for my mission, which became this, which is
Hmm.
awesome.
Now, I'm sure you've taken pictures of your own eyes and looked at those.
Oh
Did
yeah,
you see your eyes change after you let go of that?
yes,
Um, and you and your father really reunited, right?
yes, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So your eye changed. That part you had seen was
Hmm.
gone.
Yep.
That's pretty
A bit,
amazing.
it's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we see is the restoration of families, friends, and just people internally,
Hmm.
uh, which is the important part. And then, of course, the eyes change, and that's just sort of, um, it's just an exclamation point on it that it works.
Right. And these are things in the eyes, like a little blotch or something like that. Nobody's going from brown to blue eyes, right?
Actually, the the fascinating thing is that most eyes are blue, and the browns and oranges and so forth will change the color of the blue into something else. And I have seen people with brown or darker eyes or hazel, which is hazel is a blue eye with orange and yellow.
Hmm.
Orange and yellow is sulfurs and minerals that come into the that we pull into our eyes as protective, like a blanket to
Hmm.
protect us from our worlds. That starts to fade. When that starts to fade, the eye becomes bluer. It's pretty cool.
Wow. So people with brown eyes, they have brown eyes because they've needed protection.
That's the theory,
Mhm.
because we do see cultures that have been more sort of suppressed and oppressed that have
Right.
brown eyes, more brown,
Hmm.
Africa, um, Asia, South America, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So the oppressed cultures, uh, in our theory, they've sort of pulled in these protective minerals that become the brown eye.
Hmm. Now, full disclosure, I'm black, what's called Black Irish, which means I have, well,
Mhm.
I had, brown hair and brown eyes and will tan, or not be that Irish skin that you even think about sunlight. Now you got to burn. So, so that means that even though the Irish heritage or the Irish, background, genetic background. Um, so I had more coming in. So in my family, we've got two strains. We've got Black Irish, and then we've got the light Irish, the blue
Yep.
haze eyes and the burning, skin that'll burn very quickly.
Pale skin. Yep.
Um, so the Black Irish came in with, hiding under the blanket.
Well, the British Isles and Ireland, I mean, they've been conquered by various people over the years,
Right,
or
right.
migrations and so on. So, I mean, the genetic history is fascinating alone, but
Hmm.
yeah, I can imagine sort of Mediterranean genetics kind of coming in and mixing with the Irish for sure.
Is it harder to read brown eyes versus blue eyes or haze eyes, lighter
It can
eyes?
be, it can be. It's harder to see the signals for some reason, in a dark brown eye because they're hidden.
Right.
Um,
Which
so
is the goal
yeah,
of the
right.
person, yeah. Doesn't want
Hmm.
you to see. But
Yep.
you've been trained to be able to see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. We just got
Um, but nobody's gone from brown to blue.
not completely. I have
No,
seen brown eyes, Indian woman that started to kind of open up a little bit, and you could see blue sort of in between some of the fibers. It was pretty neat.
right. As she got more secure in herself.
Precisely. Yeah.
Right. How well accepted is iridology in today's world? I know
Mm.
it was big for a while, and I'm going back. Wasn't it in like the 80s, 70s, 80s? Seem like.
I wasn't around, I didn't know about it then, but that's what
Yeah.
I hear from other people.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, it's pretty obscure now. I mean, I'm one of the very few in Colorado. I mean,
Right.
hand most. So, um, and I heard from someone recently that it's becoming bigger in Europe. Like you can go to a European city and see an iridologist on the corner, next to the pharmacy or something. So
Wow.
that's I think
Yeah.
they're more in the medical sort of standard body, tradition, but
Hmm.
but it's still fascinating.
Right. Um, what does the spleen mean?
Yeah, the spleen is
That's like ease and grace. I'm peeking at your chart here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yep, using grace.
Yeah.
So if someone has a spleen signal, I will ask, were things difficult growing up or seemingly difficult growing up?
Hmm.
Obviously it's in the left eye versus the right. We can say mom versus dad or male versus
Right.
female. Um, and that's what you do is you ask the question and sometimes you'll say, they'll be like, no, it's actually really easy. And this you probe and you find out where that signal's coming from.
Right.
Was there some other difficulty in, growing up, college, etc. Partnerships is a big one.
Hmm.
Uh, and again, you don't want to talk about the spleen per se, but you'll say, has that been a pattern in your life? Is this what we call a similar feeling over the years? And most of the time it's pretty accurate, as we know.
Hmm.
So a lot of times I'll say, oh yeah, things seemed really hard. And it could be, we've actually seen this happen many times, is that person I'm talking to might not have that signal show up for them, but they're carrying it for their mother or father. Does that make sense?
Oh,
So it's
okay.
passed through
So
the
they've
lineage.
taken on that emotional energy. And
Precisely.
well, how come it doesn't hurt their shoulders as a burden? Because I would
That's
think
happened
that
too.
would be a burden.
Hmm.
You're taking on somebody
Right.
else's, it would become a burden, especially if it's not yours.
But this is the case usually. I've seen this only a handful of times. That's not me. And I'm like, well, how about mom or grandmother or
Hmm.
going back? It's like, oh yeah, they had whatever it was, difficulty or a lot of burdens, etc.
Yeah.
Um, and then it'll be like we talked about earlier, an unknown memory or an unknown feeling.
Hmm.
When we make it conscious, we can actually restore through, raising that lineage in them, right? So I think we talked about this a little bit, but it's I am my mom
Hmm.
feeling, confident and able to handle her world.
Right.
I am mom, feeling powerful and giving her difficulties and burdens to her great self, even if they're past, right? Because
Hmm.
they're in us. They were raising that memory. Or I'm my grandmother, right?
Right.
You're restoring them in you because we kind of carry all of our lineage inside of us.
So it could be from somebody we never met, but,
Could be
great grandmother, let's say.
exactly. Hmm.
And we're carrying it and you can see it in their eyes.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
start to
Wow.
probe to find out where is it? Where is it? It's here somewhere, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's been times where I keep asking this question and we can't find it, and that's okay
Mhm.
too. Um,
Right.
it might be, like you said, the Black Irish, and they're under the covers and we don't even know them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we're well hidden,
Mhm.
protecting. Um, next to on your chart, next to spleen, you have pan, Pan. We've
Pancreas,
never,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, is that what that is? I didn't
Yeah.
know what it was. Yeah. Okay.
Just a short for, yeah, as it would.
Pancreas. Gotcha. You have some other things that size. One is SOL, another one is AO. Do you know
There's a
what
little
that?
key. There's a little key down on the lower left,
Oh, I
usually.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Solar
duh. Yeah.
plexus, adrenals, pituitary gland.
Solar plexus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what would the solar plexus be? Because that's such a big thing chakra wise. And where do chakras come into this? That was a few questions in one.
The solar plexus, that's a very vulnerable point,
Hmm.
right? So that's usually about protection.
Right.
So I would ask, were they, did they feel protected growing up?
Hmm.
It was there a figure that was, you know, fearful,
Right.
and did they not get protection from the outer world or from their parents or friends or whoever?
Hmm.
That's usually the case is when, let's say, dad is an angry, fearful person or
Right.
to be feared,
Hmm.
and mom doesn't protect the child. That is, that adds to the fear. And then there can be some anger and resentment around that too, right?
Right.
Uh, but that protection is like, oh, do we have to feel fear growing up? And that's the rib cage and solar plexus as well.
Hmm.
Um,
How about if it's not from childhood? How about if you had a very secure childhood and you get into your 20s or 30s and now you're in a relationship that you don't feel safe or, you
right.
know, I mean, will
They-
that then show up in the eyes?
yes, I've seen that too, for sure.
Hmm.
Now,
You tell the date, not the date, but you know, that it's adult versus child.
no, you can't see that.
Okay.
It's just your body and your body's speaking to you through your eye.
Hmm.
And it could be yesterday.
Right.
Because we have seen, that shows up more in the white part, which is our experience of our outer world, right? And that's
The
those
white part.
lines and so forth can show
Right.
up fast.
We
Um,
didn't talk about that part. The white.
no, we didn't get
Yeah.
we didn't really get into that, but
Yeah. Tell me about that part. That's interesting. That's the outer world.
yeah. So the
Yeah.
the iris, the color part is our inner world, is our
Hmm.
body, and the outside is called the sclera. The white part is our experience of our outer world.
Hmm.
And that's where you can say, instead of how do you feel about yourself, which would be the iris and your experience and your emotion, how do you feel about someone outside of you? A male figure, a female figure, a
Right.
parent, a boss sometimes. We've seen that where
Hmm.
a boss shows up as, overbearing and again feared,
Intimidating. Yeah.
intimidating, right? And
Yeah.
then you say, "Oh, okay, I'm seeing this here in the protection area." Sometimes it's the kidneys are partnering, right? So if you have a partner in business, I've seen this a couple times actually,
Hmm.
and they turned out to be bad partners in business.
Yeah.
That that can kind of show up in there, and the interesting thing is it's usually related to something even earlier than that. And we can find that too.
Hmm.
So was it partnering with your brother growing up?
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, my brother and I didn't get along at
Oh,
all.
that jerk.
We were, oh yeah, exactly. Uh, no, and then that shows up as a familiar
So
feeling.
it's a pattern, really, by the time you get
Usually a
to
pattern. Usually a
adulthood.
pattern.
Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
pattern. Yeah. So you don't stumble into it blind, you're recreating almost unconsciously, but recreating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when we looked at the white in on me, except we had red lines, you said that's stress. Which
That
you
can
know, the
be,
outside
yeah,
world is very stressful right now. Yeah.
that can be the case for sure. When we were doing eye readings during COVID, there was a lot of stress lines in there.
Hmm.
So we focused on um, protection from this concept of an outer invader,
Right.
and
The outside danger. Yeah.
outside danger, have people be calm, and we would see those lines start to go away, which
Wow.
is, yeah.
Yeah. Now, did it matter if it's on the left or the right eye? Because I know on me, when we were looking, one of my eyes, and I honestly don't remember which one, we had more red lines than the other one.
Mhm. It's usually fairly similar for both.
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember yours,
Me
but
too.
it can be if it's, let's say, in the right eye, which is the male world, masculine world, and
Hmm.
especially female, and you're engaging with this world that you feel in fear of or anger or whatever it is, yeah,
Right.
that'll be
Or
more significant.
helpless.
Hmm.
Helpless. And yeah, I would think. Right. So let's
Right.
talk about play. And that was
Mm.
a big thing. And I was pretty impressed with that. When you changed that, it felt so different, but I shouldn't be talking. You talk. Explain how the interchange of those words,
Right.
you know?
Well, the consciousness and spirituality world, and I know why. It's fine. We talk about working on ourselves and working on
Hmm.
this thing that we have inside of us and working on becoming better at this. And
Right.
that's okay. And it actually requires effort, right? But we like to change, if possible, that word from work to play
Hmm.
because for various reasons. One is the idea of we do word translations as well in one of our modalities, different ways of saying things. And the word work can feel hard, right?
Right.
We also, when we come into the world as children, which we are always going back to try to restore, we came in as playing, and then we're taught that playing
Hmm.
is not good. It's not responsible. You got to work hard. You got to,
Right.
have responsibilities to be an adult. But
Let me
in our
bring you to school.
right, and
Yeah.
is that really important? And, we believe that we're here to play,
Hmm.
and we can play in business, and we can play in all of these things that we do, and still get the same thing done, and feel better about it.
Right. Right. Use an example because I was so surprised at the difference in feeling when you were saying something to me, and I can't repeat it because I don't really remember what we were talking
I think
about in particular.
if I
But
recall, it tends to be, I've been working on that for years, right? And that's what I hear. And I say, well, let's just change that one word and see how that feels. I've been
Mhm.
playing on this for years, and that can be relieving.
Right. It's
Yeah.
workable. Suddenly it lightens up and it's like, oh, this, yeah, I can do this. It almost dissipates right there in the change of that word. It's pretty
Mhm.
amazing, pretty interesting. Um, what was some of the weirdest things?
Um, hmm, weird.
Hmm.
I, I have to say, there's a lot of surprises sometimes. For instance, I can be talking to a very put together person, and we find out that there's a lot going on that
They're a
you wouldn't.
mess. You look in
Yeah,
their eyes and say, "Oh my God, you're a mess."
you said it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
they've got a lot going on
Yeah.
inside and memories and so forth. Weird is not, the woman where she had the lying signal. That was
Hmm.
pretty fascinating and
Right.
unusual. It's the only one I've ever seen, and that was very accurate. And I wouldn't call that weird, but it was significant. Maybe
Right.
is a
Right.
um, there was another one where I saw a signal in the birth center. It's called, and I asked her, "Yeah,
Where's the birth center, though?
birth center is up top on the left side, the female side."
Hmm.
Um,
Like
and
1 or 11 on the clock.
like, like, yeah, like 1 or 2 o'clock, I think.
Yeah.
Um, and I asked her, I'm seeing this signal. I've never seen it before in this area. So tell me about your ideas around birth and children and mothering.
Hmm.
And she said, interesting you asked that because I want to say 10 years old or something like that, she said, I said to everyone around me, I will never have children. And I was like,
Wow,
okay,
at 10, that's pretty interesting. And
right.
not counting when you're pissed off at the baby in the house. You
Hmm. It
know.
was really young. And she kept to it. She's never had children. I think she was in her 50s at the time. So,
Yeah.
uh, for her, we actually raised because it was interesting that that signal was there. So you can
Uh-huh.
make a statement, I'm not going to have children, that's fine. Um,
But
but
there
why
was emotion
there
around
was
it. Huh?
emotion there, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, we're just kind of asking about, you know, how do you feel about not being a mother? She was kind of okay with that, and I said, tell me about how your life is. And we talked about how she's taking care of a lot of people. She has a lot of friends and is very loving. And I said, you are a mother.
Hmm.
You are taking
Yeah.
care, nurturing your world. And we sort of raised that. And she just, you know, a lot of emotion around that, let's just say.
Yeah.
Well, and so that was a beautiful, beautiful moment. Not weird, but it was pretty unique, I think, to
Now,
find that.
what words did you give her to reverse that?
Um, if I recall, it was probably around, I bring divine mother energy to all my people. You know,
Hmm.
I cherish and uh, care for my world and my people. Um,
What I'm wondering about is, did she quit taking care of everybody? And
no,
then they're all upset.
I think she made the connection, yeah,
Yeah.
of that was really her calling to
Hmm.
mother her people. She
Right.
probably amped it up, is what I'm going to say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and really connect it to it.
Hmm. Otherwise, these people are saying, "Who did you talk to?"
Right.
We want to talk to
Don't
him.
go back, right?
Yeah. Did have you ever looked into somebody's eyes and they're expecting one thing and you start talking about something completely different and they've been
Mm.
upset or pissed by it?
Um, I do get that energy sometimes because I tend to talk about parents, and
Hmm.
sometimes just that subject is really difficult.
Right.
And anger around it. And they say, I left my parents a long time ago. I don't want that energy in my world and that type of thing.
Right.
Uh, so it becomes a little delicate because them saying that is actually the most important thing to bring
Hmm.
out. If you
Right.
are against anything, that actually becomes a big problem, stickiness in your life, right?
Hmm.
The more we push something away, a lot of
More
times.
resistance there is in it. Yeah. Yeah. So how do you deal with that?
Um, we do what we call builds, and we talk about how our parents are inside of us. So if our parents, we're 50-50, our parents, biologically, DNA.
Hmm.
So if we have an against with our parents, we have an against with us inside.
Right.
And so those types of things, and you can see, hopefully the person start to go, oh yeah,
In
you
other
know,
words, they can
might
deal with it without having to confront it,
right.
basically. Yeah.
And if it's a problem with them, it's a problem inside. So
Hmm.
let's have you get along with parents in you. Don't
Right.
have to talk to them, but
Yeah.
let's not push them away or say that's bad because you're saying yourself is bad in a sense, right?
Hmm.
And again, anger and resentment energy is one of the most um, inhibiting types of energy for
Right.
your expansion.
Did you ever have anybody say, "Oh, I hate this in my mother"? And the truth is they also have this in themselves. And it's part of a genetic. I mean, it is, you are that. You know? It's not
Yes,
learned, it just is.
it
Yeah.
just is.
Yeah.
Uh, Often. And, I would say a lot of people have that kind of thing going on. I would say I had that going on
Hmm.
with my father. I hate this in my father, but I actually could see it in me.
Right.
And so the important thing for me as the coach here is to say that that's not bad. That's
Yeah.
okay. You know,
Accept it, kind of.
accept it.
And then love it.
and love it
Yeah,
precisely,
yeah.
and see the strengths in it.
Uh-huh.
And maybe you'll change your behavior going forward in that realm. But that if you accept it and love it and make it okay, that sort of frees up the energy a lot of times. And
Right.
you can be different in your world.
So what happens when they start loving that mean streak? You know,
Well,
here we go. They go they blast everybody and then it calms down and we're okay.
usually it doesn't last long and they
Yeah.
realize that they're really about love.
Hmm.
So, in
Yeah.
fact, I think the people that are truly mean are covering up how much they love. It's
Yeah.
like a defense.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But once it comes
It's a
out,
push away.
it's a push away.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty interesting. So what else have I not asked that you'd like to talk about with iridology?
I mean, I think we've covered a lot. There's a few things that we talk about sort of in general about why we're engaging with the subconscious, which is 99, depending on who you talk about, 95 to 99% of the power of our quote unquote mind. And we think it's
Hmm.
the body versus the thinker. And we say, your thinker has no power here.
Right.
Meaning we're going to go direct to our hearts. And that's why I call my version of this the heart alive,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of this spirituality, consciousness, meta psychology, if you will, that comes from the thought. We're gonna take a scientific approach and use the mind, and it has some value and some effect because we're going to use our mind, and you and I are talking using our language, which is the
Right.
mind. But when we get down to true change or true restoration, we call it, because we're going to restore our glorious nature that we came in with, right?
Hmm.
Where we learned all these things from our parents that we transacted, right? So we're going to give away our play for one. We're going to give away our, volume, our expression for the love from our parents. So that we're going to restore that.
Right.
And maybe we're going to be loud for a little bit.
Yeah.
Learn to adjust the volume.
We're gonna overdo it for a bit before we get back and yeah, balance it out. Yeah.
But it's all about heart, which is our emotional, our feeling worlds, our subconscious, and also our greater self, our intuition, those things that we're taught not to, in normal society, just, yeah, you don't need your intuition. You need to study hard and all that stuff.
Right. We have to have facts behind intuition. If you can't put
Mm.
them there, you can't have it.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of weird.
So it's more we talk about heart, we talk about our amazingly powerful subconscious greater self, and that's the restoration, and that's where change happens, right?
Hmm.
That's where healing actually happens. So any kind of physical healing that we've seen, and we've seen a lot, it's coming from our emotional body, not
Hmm.
from mind or
Right.
pharmaceutical.
Right. Right. And that pretty much is what's running the show, that subconscious. Yeah.
Mhm.
You also have a feeling scale, and most of them are pretty, pretty understandable. Like pain, pain is on one side and pleasure's on the other. That kind of thing. But
That's
anger
restoration.
and choice are
Mhm.
ones that are kind of weird.
Yeah, that is unique because the opposite of anger is actually using that energy of anger or resentment for your choice, for your authoring of your new life, uh, rather than love, because love is not on there. If you notice,
No.
love is our source code. Love is underneath all of us.
Hmm.
So it's the emotion of choice and forgiveness, and will is on there too, right? So if you have anger, that's energy that you can use once you've transformed it back from that anger into choice, into lots of energy for your expansion, authorship. We're
Right.
authoring a new life, right?
Yeah. So you're releasing um, that energy, and then you have choice of what to do with that.
Hmm.
Yeah. The other one I found weird was shame and then sacred.
Mm,
Yeah, those two were interesting.
yeah. Shame becomes sacred because shame is about, you know,
Hating
viewing
yourself.
some kind of outside judgment of us, right?
Hmm.
That we can be shameful for an action, right? Um, and so sacred is there's no judgment in sacred.
Oh, I
I,
say, yeah.
right?
Hmm. And enthusiasm is the highest state.
The
Now, why
highest.
is that?
Hmm.
Yeah, why is that enthusiasm?
So I would call that sort of the enlightenment phase. When
Hmm.
we are in enthusiasm about life, we have conquered is not the right word. We have engaged with and raised all of our energies that might be hindering us. And now we are enthusiastic about life.
Hmm.
And if you've ever met anybody that's enthusiastic about life, they've achieved the highest state for
Right.
sure.
And there's a lot of play in that.
There's a lot of
Enthusiasm.
play. That's what
Yeah,
it's all
yeah,
about.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. Um, Now I want to go to your practice.
Mhm.
So you work with people, well, you're in Colorado now, and your sister's in Texas. You said that you had gone to Texas. You used to do retreats down there, but you're
Mhm.
looking at doing retreats now in Colorado as well,
Correct.
right?
Um, we have a tentative retreat on the schedule for this spring, upcoming spring. So
Wow.
we're
And that'll be in Colorado,
I'll be in Colorado,
in
in
Denver, or
outside of Netherland, actually,
oh
and
wow. That'll
really
be
off
nice up there.
off
That's
of
nice.
space.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, can you work with people on Zoom and how do you see their eyes?
Yeah.
Because when you used the camera on my eyes and
Mhm.
got real close and, got all the
Yeah.
details of it, yeah. But how do you do that with somebody on Zoom?
Yeah. So I've done that a bunch of times, I would say, and you send instructions about how to do it. So you need a partner, and that partner can use an iPhone or some other camera to do it. It's not as
Uh,
good.
yeah,
It's spot.
not as
It's
clear. Yeah.
definitely not as clear. Um, yes, and when we when we see things, and you experience this, right? So
Mhm.
all we need is one signal a lot of times, and we can go
Take
for
it from
hours.
there. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So it's not as good, but it's plenty good, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Now, do you just look at the picture they're sending you, or do you put your camera up against the picture and then take another picture?
No, no, no. Yeah, I just use the pictures they send. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right. So anybody who wants to work with you, how did they get hold of you?
You can go to my website, alecweedycoach.com, and
You want
send a
to
message.
spell your last name?
Yeah, you bet. It's not intuitive. So ALEC is the first name, UITTI is the last name, and
Okay.
then altogether coach, alecweedycoach.com.
Hmm.
Uh, and if anybody wants to know, it's the Finnish origin of the last name.
Hmm. Um, the retreat that you're going to have, are you going to teach?
I'll teach. I'll have helpers with me,
Hmm.
and we need 6 people at least to do the retreat because the modality called body electronics, you require 6 people holding points, we call them, for the
Now I'm going to
transformation.
make you explain those things.
Yes, yes. Happy to. Body
Good.
electronics is the most transformative modality I've ever experienced, and most people that have come through the retreats will say the same. Um,
You did
so,
talk about that you did other modalities, and I didn't follow that. I thought
yeah,
about it, but didn't do it. So this is one of the other modalities.
yeah, this is sort of the grandmother of all of them because during the retreat we'll do an eye reading, we'll do
Hmm.
coaching. So the other two are pure speech and body language and eye readings go hand in hand because it's the same thing. So if someone says, "Yeah, I've got my left knee hurts,"
Hmm.
say, knees are about partnership. How is partnership in your life right now? And we can kind of go on from there, right?
Right.
Uh, and pure speech is I can hear word codes,
Hmm.
I am tired, I'm always tired. Okay, we can go on for an hour on that
Yeah,
topic.
yeah.
First tired, right? So body electronics is a little different because it's actual physical touch. And so someone is on a table, massage table usually, and fully clothed, and there are people holding points. And it takes 2 to 3 hours.
Hmm.
You start to go through memories. And a lot of things from the early childhood usually it can be traumas, and the coach is there to transform those memories into glorious gold for your new life.
Hmm.
It's a little vague. It gets very specific to that person, but the person gets off the table and they look 10 to 20 years younger
Wow.
because they've kind of transformed all of this stuck energies. So each of these points that we hold are places where our body's holding on to things, right?
Hmm.
And so through the pressure and also through the energy of each person holding the points, which is why it takes a week to kind of do this because we're raising consciousness for everyone. We're raising love. We're raising this energy that's so beautiful. And that energy gets put into our person. That's
Hmm.
why we call it body electronics, because we're all electric beings in
Right.
some ways, electric energies. And we also talked about the minerals we need to take because there's so much
Right.
transformation happening. If we don't take a lot of minerals and good foods and so forth, we can start to have issues with our bodies as they're changing. I mean, our bodies are changing moment to moment during
Hmm.
this retreat. It's it's the
So
most beautiful and transformative thing I've ever seen and
I
experienced.
remember people going to massage school would
Mm.
talk about they would work on somebody and the person would suddenly have a memory of a childhood usually trauma or something, you know.
Hmm.
And it was like wow, but it was like the body released it, let it go. I
Yeah.
assume, again they were quick conversations, yeah.
Hmm.
But I didn't know anybody taught that. I thought it would just happen. It was like arbitrary. So, yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, body electronics was discovered by a guy named John Ray in the 50s, actually.
Hmm.
And he taught our guru, Bob Stevens, who also came up with this type of iridology as well. And through all these different modalities, this is how we raise our people and
Hmm.
raise consciousness.
Wow. Is it painful?
Uh,
When you
that
touch those points, are
uh,
they pain points?
so
Physical pain points, I guess.
the pain is heat usually. Sometimes it gets really hot, like a
Hmm.
point will heat up, and people describe it on fire. But the point is that we're there for that person, and we say, "I stay, and I feel, and I touch," and we can go through all different types of perceived pain because pain is just a signal, right?
Hmm.
It's just a nervous signal, and we get to transform that into joy and love.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's easy, but that's how we do it.
Yeah.
And that That's how we coach. The
Mhm.
one thing we say is, I feel the pain as if I'm smelling a rose. And that type of thing transforms the experience of this idea of pain as something beautiful.
It also puts it outside of yourself in a way.
Mhm.
Yeah. Huh. Um, is it the meridians or meridian points, or that has nothing to do with it?
It's a good question where the points came from. They were just taught to me and they work. So that's all I
Right.
know. Got a
Yeah.
heart point. We've got something called the STOs. We've got some points on the knees.
What are STOs?
It's a technical term. It's sterno, uh,
Because you're pointing
sterno
to the
something
occipital
osteo,
ridge, really.
right in here, occipital,
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
behind here. Yeah.
And that usually is a painful point with people.
In this case, it's not. It's actually the least painful. The
Is it?
most
Oh
the
my
difficult one is
God.
the solar plexus. That is
Uh-huh.
one, and that can be painful, but that pain dissipates pretty fast.
Yeah. Do people have um different is the pain different or the pain points different per person? So, it would be somebody's occipital, like you go to certain points in the body. And let's say I'd have pain in the occipital and somebody else would have solar plexus that way. But the same points are what you work through in everybody's body.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that can be a signal as well. If someone's having pain in one place or the other, or it's heating up in one place or the other, that's the movement of that person because
Hmm.
each point um, has a signal of its own in the body. So we
Right.
get to talk about that. We get to ask about that.
And
Uh,
is it the left side different from the right side or back different from the front or is
Not
it
back and
just
front,
because
just
of
left and right for
yeah,
sure. Yeah,
yeah. We might have to do a whole nother show on this.
I know.
Right.
Happy to.
I know, it's interesting. Do you
Mhm.
still work with that guy, Bob? Your
He's
teacher.
passed.
Oh, yes.
But yeah,
Yeah.
uh, yeah. Last time I saw him was a number of years ago. But yeah, he's from North Carolina. He was in North Carolina, and he would, go around to different states
Teach, yeah.
um, and teach. So yeah,
So you're carrying this on, his knowledge on. Well, that's fascinating. And it's all on your web
but
page. Anybody who's interested wants to sign up or wants to learn more or have iridology done. All of those things. Yeah.
correct.
You can't do the body thing by Zoom.
Yeah,
No, I
no,
didn't
that
think
takes.
so. I'm thinking the way you hesitated, I thought you can. You know, that's interesting. Hey, thanks so much for being on. I have really enjoyed the conversation. I loved the sampling that I received yesterday to give me a good base because I would have been, as much as we wandered, I would have been worse. So, yeah, so
I'm
it was
glad.
good. Thank you very much. And thanks for
Thank you.
being on. It's been
You're welcome.
fabulous. Thanks. Bye bye.